welcome everyone to our session that is part of the Michael J. Edwards class of 1983 Retail and Merchandising Leadership Series. I am your tour guide and your fellow leader through this process of assisting everyone who's speaking. And my name is Jo Hancock. I'm a professor in the and the program director for the Masters in Retail and Merchandising here at Drexel University. I am honored this evening to be bringing you a person. There are those people that you meet in your life that just make you smile, make you feel good, and make you really happy that you know them. And for me, Amanda Abney Buchanan, I'll always remember her as Amanda Abney, is one of those people. As a recruiter for IKEA Group, Amanda Buchanan works to ensure effective hiring practices of all retail positions within IKEA stores throughout the Midwest region. And by the way, I think she's also doing it for corporate now as well.
I am.
As part of IKEA's recruitment leadership team, Amanda is committed to shaping a high performance team that leverages diversity, equity, and inclusion best practices. With over 15 years of solid and progressive experience in human resources, retail, and diversity, equity, and inclusion, Amanda has held a wide range of positions in both field and staff functions. Amanda received her bachelor's degree with a double major in international business and Spanish from Loyola University in Maryland and an MBA from Villanova University. Amanda resides in the Philadelphia area with her husband and 3-year-old daughter. She loves to travel and participating in community outreach activities that impact youth. And I also want to say that Amanda is a West Philadelphia native. And it is my pleasure to bring you Amanda Buchanan. Take it away, Amanda.
Thank you so much, Jo. I really appreciate that introduction. I should have sent you an update. Not only do I do corporate now, but my daughter's now 4. She turned 4 a couple weeks ago. I can't even believe it because that time flew. But hey, everyone. Jo, I want to thank you for inviting me to be a part of this amazing program that's going to help so many people. But when we talk, he's like, Amanda, you're a recruiter. You know what to look for. You know what to do. And he kind of lets me fly with it. And I'm so grateful. So tonight, I want to talk a little bit on how to land that perfect job and talk to you about what recruiters want and some things that you can do to help yourself stand out through the interview process and just the job search process in general. It can tend to be pretty daunting. So I want to make sure that I'm helping you guys kind of think of some tips and tricks that will really get you to the next level as you begin your journey. Okay, so he introduced me already, so I don't even have to do that. But that's me. I love that picture. I got it at a LinkedIn conference, so a couple of years ago, so it was nice. So as I mentioned before, our world is changing, so we have to be able to adapt and really think about new outside of the box ways to get in front of our recruiters and hiring managers. So the hiring manager is the individual who has the job opening, the person that you'll be reporting to, and they work with a recruiter. So you'll hear me use those phrases. The recruiter is the person that kind of finds the talent. The hiring manager is the person that you'll be working for that you are going to be in front of at some point. So we're going to look at some traditional job approaches as well as some non-traditional job search approaches. But whether it is a job to pass the time, a job to just put some money in your pocket, or a dream job, I'm going to talk to you today about some ways that you can get there and figure out what it is that you want to do. So one of the things that I talk about now, especially, is really getting altitude and start identifying your starting point. And what I mean by getting altitude is sometimes we are so inundated and in the weeds looking at job boards and jobs, we start applying for everything. And you can really take some time to kind of look at yourself from a bird's eye perspective. Take a personal inventory and think about what it is you're looking for. What are the things you're passionate about? Is there a specific industry that you love? Are there things that you do that others are just not good at? What comes naturally to you? What are some of the things that you honestly love? We spend at least in most full-time jobs 40 hours per week, and we all know that 40 can become like 60 real quick. Think about those things that you would be interested in spending your time doing. Think about the things that you're studying if you're still passionate about that by the time you graduate. think about what you want to do there. But what you really need to think about and focus on, especially as you're working to identify how you can get in front of a hiring manager, think about what the pain points are. What pain points do you want to focus on? What can you help people with? When you think about an organization, where do they have pain? Because you, through your passions, through your work, and through the way you brand yourself, can be the person that solves them and alleviates that pain from them. For example, I work for IKEA. A customer service manager might have pain points because they have people who call out often. They have a team and a staff that's not well trained. They might have a lot of negative feedback from customers who are calling in with specific issues. Perhaps you are a customer service specialist. Maybe that is your strength. Maybe you're a person that is always punctual, never misses days of work. How do you sell that? You can write down skill sets on your resume, but some of the things that you want to do is through the art of storytelling and being able to tell your story through great examples is you can share that. Maybe you've been able to implement a project in a past life at work, or maybe in an organization that you've been a part of, and you've implemented a project that really helps process improvement, where people can get trained in a better way, or people can really be able to leverage their skill sets to help others, so that you can create a better work environment that can really alleviate and relieve a pain point. So we want to spend some time thinking about that and what it is that you do, and then you want to brand yourself accordingly. And everyone, if you have questions throughout, don't hesitate to reach out. Joe, if you could look at the chat for me while you're here, and I can look at it as well.
You
Or if
got
you
it.
want to just pop in and say something, that's perfectly fine too. I just want to let you know. So as I mentioned before, you must know what pain points you solve in order to brand yourself. So think of yourself as the problem solver and the pain reliever. So think about and reflect on what you do. You don't just have to just write the words on your resume. I'm going to talk about resumes and entering those power words and how to be able to implement some of the ways that you really alleviate the pain there. But it starts with thinking and taking that inventory in yourself as you're preparing. And sometimes the resumes, like I said before, they might have too many words and they aren't powerful. We're going to focus on power words, as well as the way you can tell your powerful story, and how you can be more specific and concise and still stand out. So you have to brand yourself. If you go on my LinkedIn, or if you go on social media, you know that I'm a family-oriented person, but you also know that I focus on leadership, development, and helping people get careers. That is my brand. That's what I bring to the table. And that's reflective in not just things that I say about myself, but the things that I post and repost on LinkedIn, the way that my profile's set up. You know that I love IKEA because I'm always posting really strong highlights about the organization. You have that opportunity, whether you're working or not. You can reshare articles about things that you're passionate about with a blurb at the top around some of the things that you like. You have the opportunity to like and get into people's comments and really begin to share your expertise. Leverage those, especially if someone's got a lot of followers, or if a posting has a lot of really great traction. Get into those comments and start to talk and share and dialogue with others. And that's how you can also build your network at the same time, because you can begin to follow people. The thing about LinkedIn is it is an amazing just treasure chest of individuals who can help you along the way. And you can reach out to these people anytime you want and have some time. I get reached out to probably weekly, and I talk to all of those people if they have a question about IKEA, how they can get something, or even just career development. It's an amazing tool and a resource that is oftentimes underused. But when you think about your brand, you really want to think about marketing. So if someone is marketing, you have to market yourself to the recruiters and hiring managers while you're in the job, when you're in the job search process, and really thinking about how you eliminate pain. And how do you figure that out? You want to know what they want to hear. Look at the job descriptions of the things that they are posting. Look at those job postings. Look at the keywords in there. sprinkle some of those into your resume, sprinkle some of those into the comments that you're making, because people are looking at them before they even invite you in for an interview, whether they've met you or not. So you really want to take advantage of that. But the purpose of your branding is to reduce the uncertainty about, I have a typo, sorry, about why you're there talking to them about a job anyway. So you really want to focus on those things. So let's talk about some job search strategies. Are there any questions so far?
You don't have any yet.
Okay, no problem. And that's not a bad thing. I can talk. So how are you going to reach employers? So your LinkedIn profile is going to be a magnet for recruiters, guys. I can't reiterate it enough. If you don't have one, I encourage you to get one. If you have one, just take an inventory and make sure that it speaks to your brand, speaks to who you are. I do some LinkedIn sessions with individuals on a one-on-one basis, and I know a few people who consult and do those as well. So you can definitely do it, but look at some of people that you admire, people who you think are great, and just kind of look at their pages and look at some of the things that really speak out to you and try and duplicate those efforts onto your own LinkedIn page. But it'll be a magnet for recruiters. And as you're building your personal brand, remember thinking about those pain points and making sure that you have keywords and phrases that are going to speak to someone who is interested in that. Google's the #1 website to find job openings, Google and LinkedIn right now. Indeed is a good place to find them as well, but Google is still #1. It's not a place where you can apply, but it's a place where you can find. And you just need to know what to look for. Of course, the online job boards. And like I said, there's Indeed, but there's a lot of other ones. There's some that are specialized by specific industry, by some of them that are specialized for individuals with similar interests. They have some that are for organizations that are geared towards different people from various ethnicities. The world is your oyster. So you just need to know where to look. And I'd suggest just doing a search or taking an inventory of things in places where you're already involved and seeing if they may have a job board. For example, I'm a member of the National Urban League. I'm in the Philadelphia chapter, and there's a job board there. You can find jobs that are right there looking for you. People are out there looking for you.
Hey, Amanda, question. How often should we check our LinkedIn networking and be adding content? Daily, a few times a week? This question comes from Wendy Williams.
Hi, Wendy. So I look at my LinkedIn. I mean, I'm a recruiter. I look at my LinkedIn pretty much daily. I try and make an update every week, maybe something every other week. And if that can be something as simple as reposting an article from IKEA, reposting an article for something that I read in maybe Harvard Business Review. But if you're in the job search process, you want to become engaged and you want to start really being able to build your brand through some of the things that you post and sharing some of the things that are interesting to you in a way that may not be overt. You're not necessarily going to write an essay every single or a think piece as they say it now, but you're not necessarily going to write a think piece about everything that interests you, but maybe you'll like something and maybe you'll share something with, hey, this really spoke to me. I hope it makes your day today, or maybe something thoughtful or thought-provoking that you want to share. But if you are in the job search process, I mean, you can do it probably like weekly, or some days you might post multiple things a day, but really just staying engaged and building that network. And then looking in the comments. I mean, some posts go viral real quick on LinkedIn even. So get into those comments and like people's comments that they make and add your own and just get that engagement and start adding people saying, hey, I saw you in this comment. I think it would be really cool to be connected, and people will add you. It's you'd be hard pressed to find people that won't accept your ad on a LinkedIn, because that's what it's for. It's for networking.
It's my largest social network. I'm just telling everybody, it's like my largest one. And anything I post, I get 200 reads minimum.
Easy. But LinkedIn is a place where you can reach hiring managers right there at their desks. Like most managers at most companies are going to be on there. And if they're not, we can figure out how to reach them. But if you look at a company, say you are interested in Google, say you are interested in IT, you can look up IT manager Google and just strike up a conversation. People expect it there, so don't feel nervous because it's what people do. Your own social media is a really great way for you to reach employers, whether you are on Instagram following the company, or maybe you are into certain, leverage those hashtags to take a look and really deep dive. There's so much career information out there. And I know sometimes we can get inundated, but if you've got your strategy, if you understand who you're looking for, you can find people there. And then your network, you want to tap into your own network. Where are your friends working? Is that a company where you might want to be? Maybe your friends or parents or even your professors may know some people, but put it out there, what you're looking for, what you're looking to do, and the whys behind it. And you'd be surprised how many people in your network might have an opportunity or something that's interesting for you or something that you would want to pursue.
Hey, Amanda, we
Yep.
have a question from Chloe Tolderlund, who says, what is the appropriate protocol for DMing hiring managers?
So are you talking about like on LinkedIn or like on an
Yeah.
Instagram?
On LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn, just add them. Some people require you to add them so you can make a connection with people on LinkedIn, and then just go for it. Say, hi, my name is Chloe. Chloe, are you a student?
Hi, I'm an alumni actually. I just graduated in June of 2022.
Perfect.
What was your major,
Perfect.
Chloe? What was your major?
I'm a screenwriting graduate, but I did the 2.5 years in the product design program, so I've seen a lot of different sides of Westfall.
Oh,
Fantastic.
awesome.
Your name just wasn't familiar to me, so I'm just making sure.
Awesome. Thank you for speaking up. So you can say, hi, my name is Chloe, and I'm a recent graduate from Drexel's program. I am a screenwriter, and I would love to connect with you about X position. If they have an open position, you can say, I recently saw a job posting for this particular position. I'm super interested in learning more. Would you be available to connect to talk a little bit more about what you're looking for in an ideal candidate? Simple as that, and being very direct. And they might either respond to you directly or say, hey, I'd love to connect you with the recruiter. And you can even attach your resume to that. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Just give them what they need. And a lot of times you might bypass even having to go through some of the initial processes that they would go through. You can really just kind of directly send it to the recruiter, and then bam, you're in line for an interview, because the people might like you being a go-getter and really trying to get it. We call this kind of like a backdoor method, or a side door method, in order to get in front of the hiring manager right at their desks before we even have to go through the application process in some instances. Or even if you've applied, say, hey, my name is Chloe. I'm a recent graduate and I'm super interested in this opportunity that I saw on your website. I recently applied, but would love to connect to learn a little bit more. And even if you're not interested in a job that they have, it's nothing if you want to go onto LinkedIn and find individuals who maybe do something that you're interested in the future. Ask them for 15 minutes for coffee. Like, hey, I would love to have a virtual coffee with you at IKEA. It's a Swedish organization. We call it a fika, and it's like a big part of their culture. I'd love to have a fika with you. Individuals, like, it's kind of like, if you know, reach out to me all the time. Like, hey, I'd love to have a quick virtual fika with you so we could talk about X position or how you enjoy life at IKEA. We're working differently. You don't have to be nervous, because right behind this screen, that's where all the nervousness goes. So you can just kind of bring yourself.
Hey, Amanda, there's a question from Caitlin
Mhm.
Wong, who says, hi, Amanda, do recruiters actually look at candidates' entire LinkedIn profile and resume? If not, what are the key things that they usually look for?
So it depends on the position. So I am, for certain positions, I look at them. Some more entry level positions, I don't always look at them, and it depends on what you're doing. Like if you're going into legal, they're going to look at your LinkedIn. They're going to look at everything that you got. Something in the legal field, they're going to look at everything that you've got on social media, across many different facets. I'm not necessarily going to look at it if I'm going to hire somebody that's going to be a leader in IKEA, but if I'm hiring for somebody at the management level or above, I'm going to be taking a look at their LinkedIn. But some of the key things that you want to have like a blurb that kind of summarizes who you are and summarizes yourself. I should preface this, my LinkedIn is under construction right now, but a little bit of preface about who you are and what you're looking for. Tell them about yourself. It's a quick snapshot, and that's a great opportunity to say, hey, I'm Amanda. I'm from the Philadelphia area. I love all things leadership and development. I love helping individuals find their passions and then go after the position that's going to help them. A little bit more about me. I am a Philly sports fan. I love dance. I love the arts. And just kind of telling them a little bit about you. But like the keys to my success have been really helping others through the work process and like the job search process, something like that. And that will give them a snapshot into who I am. Then they'll take a look at my work experience. Share your work experience that you have. Share your volunteer experience that you have. Any clubs, organizations that you've been a part of, and what your role has been there. That's going to be individuals' first snapshot into who you are. And you can get a little more creative on LinkedIn than you would on your resume per se, because your resume, you're kind of confined to a smaller space. LinkedIn, you can scroll and scroll and scroll. You just don't want to make it boring, and make sure that you have some fun up there, and then just maybe highlight a couple of things that you're passionate about in there. I hope that helps. Awesome. So that's how you're going to reach employers. I have a lot of slides, y'all, so I'm going to zoom through a few, but I want to make sure I get through the good part. So I think it's important to create your game plan as you're doing it. When you're job searching, especially if you're really in need of a job, you have to make it another job for yourself. So you want to evaluate your schedule. How often are you going to sit down and put in the work? You need to make a job out of finding a job if you're going to do it, especially if it's your dream job, because you really want to make sure that you're getting it. So you want to reach out like we talked about, whether it be through a LinkedIn contact, a contact that you make through networking on your own. Somebody gave you information, maybe a friend. You want to start reaching out and taking action. But you just need one great person that's going to see you and see what you bring to the table, and they're going to be able to help you. And I highly encourage people to get an accountability partner, someone that's going to encourage you, someone that's going to motivate you, because it can be daunting. And maybe you reached out and you wanted to go for a job and it doesn't pan out. You need someone that's going to help you pick up your spirits and help lift you up. So I think an accountability partner is going to be really helpful, whether it be one of your friends or someone else you know from school that's in the job search process. I definitely encourage that. So now we're going to just talk a little bit more about networking and more of a traditional sense of networking, but then we talked a little bit about how you can network and even network with strangers through the LinkedIn system, which I think is amazing. But some of the basic networking basics. So we're going to talk about the approach, the opener, and I have another screen right here. I guess I'm looking for a little bigger. The dialogue, how you dialogue, how you can ask for something through networking, and how you should close an interaction. Sorry. So your approach, so before you go to an event or before you reach out to somebody, think about who you want to talk to. So Chloe, you mentioned you're an alumni. I'm sure we've got some students here, some people who are preparing to graduate. There are a lot of different opportunities. Drexel is an incredible university with a huge alumni base. I think I know probably like 25% of the friends that I have now are probably Drexel alum from different parts of the organization. It's really cool. I mean, hashtag Philadelphia resident too. But really understand, like, if you're going to a networking event or an event where employers are there, who do you want to talk to? You'll probably be able to get a list or understanding of who's going to be there, and think about who's there and why you want to talk to. You want to maybe do some research around positions that you might see that are there. Go to the company's websites before you attend an event. an event, or if somebody works somewhere, look at what they offer, see if something might be there for you. You really have to seize the opportunities that come your way when you're looking for that dream job or you're in the job search process. You want to be able to share your story, talk about the things about you, your things that you ways that you alleviate pain, and then what you bring to the table and how, and not just a list of your skill sets, but really strong stories that you can filter into some of your conversation to showcase who you are, to leave a really great impression. Think about the things that you would want to learn from individuals. Say, I'm into marketing. If there's someone there from marketing, I would learn a little bit. I would like to learn a little bit more about how they leverage focus groups at their company. Let me figure out some questions around there. And still continue to make it conversational, but think about those things and be prepared to speak to them. And think about what an ideal outcome was. Do you want a business card? Do you want someone's contact information? Do you want them to put you in contact with someone else? And how you're going to follow up, because the thank you is always going to go a long way. So an opener. So how many people here have heard of the elevator pitch? Anyone? Okay, I see you, Danielle. Well, an elevator pitch, I see you, Wendy, too, and Chloe, thank you. The premise behind the elevator pitch is that you hop on an elevator and you are with like the CEO of someone influential with a company. From the time you get on to the time you get off of the elevator, maybe 10 to 20 floors, is the time that you have to share with someone who is of influence, who can make an impact on you, what your story is. And your elevator should tell who you are, what you do, what you're interested in, and what your goal is. So for example, my name is Amanda Buchanan. I'm a recruitment leader with IKEA. I'm super passionate about helping others and really helping take their careers to the next level and really just developing themselves. I'm really interested in opportunities to continue leading, growing, and developing teams, as well as managing others. And I would love to do this within this organization at a higher level. Bam, that was like 15 seconds talking about who I am, my why, my passion, what I do, how I can help them by helping to grow stronger, better teams, and the why, and then bam, the door opens and you're leaving the elevator. Be able to craft your own individual elevator pitch so that you can share in a matter of moments who you are and leave that lasting impression. So as I mentioned, like this is for someone who may be a student. You would want to introduce yourself, talk about what your major is or your career history has been, what your graduation date is, if you've already graduated, why you're there at the networking event. So I say let's practice, but because of time, we're going to not practice, but we can do some stuff later on if we have some time. But it's an art form, so you want to practice, practice, practice. And that's with elevator pitches, that's with interviews, that's with going up to anyone. You want to make sure that you're practiced. This is like a muscle, guys. You try it the first time, you stumble, you fall, but the more you practice, I practice in the mirror, practice in front of other people. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes, and you can really take it far. You're laughing, Joe. Isn't that right, though?
It's totally right. You just have to, and you should practice. I always say practice in front of the mirror.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Always.
And why is relationship building important? So this is, and people are like, why do I need to network? Because you need to meet people. You do. It's a social world, and not all of us are extroverts. In my past, I was the biggest extrovert you ever wanted to meet. And now that I'm older, I'm becoming more of an introverted extrovert, but I still exercise that. Like I need a little bit of both. But the world of business is human and it's relational. So you have to be able to make connections with people. The togetherness is what builds organizations, and it's what builds just kind of like the units of the business. Being able to talk to people is a great way to differentiate yourself. So you got to think, I'm a recruiter. I look at dozens and dozens of resumes on a daily basis, right? But when I meet someone and they create a lasting impression, or they tell me something interesting about themselves, or they hit one of the pain points that I have and tell me how they can relieve it, I want to talk to that person a little bit more. I want to learn it a little bit more. You can use it as you can use networking time as a mini interview, maybe an informational interview, or an opportunity to showcase who you are in a quick, clear, concise way. You can learn about employers in a short period of time, and you can build those connections that can lead to something. It can lead to nothing, but it can be a connection nonetheless, and you'll grow from it. When you're talking to individuals, please ensure that it's a dialogue, not a monologue. Some people, and this can get challenging, especially if you like to talk, like I like to talk. So I'm very conscious of making sure that when I'm with individuals, I'm not like a takeover legend and taking over the whole entire conversation, but giving individuals a chance to ask me questions and me asking things of them and pausing and letting people talk in between. That's why I'm always like, does anybody have any questions? Because I know I could probably go on and on, but I want to make sure that you want to make sure, like in a networking environment, that it's not just you talking, especially when you're the person searching for a job and you want to learn a little bit more. But really thinking about asking those open-ended questions that they can answer, instead of like, oh, does your company offer benefits? Instead of saying like that, saying, hey, I've been reading up on your companies. Could you tell me a little bit more about the benefits that they offer? And that'll give people the chance to answer questions and give you more detail than you probably would have if you didn't ask if you asked a yes or no question. You want to talk about personal experiences during these things, but you always want to leave with some things, and that can even happen through your elevator pitch, with some of the top 3 things that they should know about you, so that they can leave and you've created that lasting impression. Questions not to ask during this type of dialogue. You won't want to ask, what do you have to offer? So that shows that you didn't do research, or you're kind of like not understanding. Plus, it just sounds a little bit rude. If someone tells you about their organization, you don't want to talk about controversial or negative questions. So I used to be a recruiter. I did campus recruiting with Target. That's how Joe and I met. And I would go to big career fairs at all the schools. And at the time, this is dating myself, Target had this crazy data breach, and it brought a lot of negative press. And people would come up to me at the tables at the career fairs and they'd be like, oh, Target, what are you guys doing about that data breach? First off, I don't know. I'm the recruiter here. But you kind of package a story, but then it's just like, okay, all you're thinking about is the negativity of my organization. Okay, check, got that. And then it kind of leaves a bad perception of you with the recruiter. So you want to make sure that you're mindful of it. The other one, do you think I'm a fit for this position? They're not going to answer that. They're not going to answer that for you. And it's not something that you want to ask. Or at the end of interviews, people will ask you, based off of the question, the way that I answered these questions, do you think I am a good candidate for this position? That's a question you don't ever want to ask either. Let them kind of give you what they're going to give you when they give it to you. You shouldn't answer that, but that's just another tidbit. And then don't ask basic things you should know about the company. And don't ask questions that are too outlandish, like, what's your plan for sustainability in the year 2027? Because it happens, like asking little things like big things like that, unless it's a sustainability company and you're at a sustainability conference and they should know. But don't ask those questions that are going to kind of perplex the person that you're dialoguing with. Make sure you're asking questions that are really appropriate. So now I kind of focused on the ask, what you can ask. So at the end of those conversations, you really want to ask, you want them to ask if you want to talk to them again, say, hey, I would love to stay connected with you. What's the best way to stay in contact with you? Or based off of the conversation we've had, I mean, it sounds like an amazing opportunity or an amazing organization. I'm going to take a look at your website to see what you guys might have to offer. Is there a way I can circle back with you? Or if there's someone there, someone that you know that they might be able to get you in contact with. Maybe you brought up that you are a screenwriter and say, this sounds amazing. I would love it if you could possibly help me get connected with someone in your screenwriting department. I would love to be able to talk and perhaps learn a little bit more from someone like that. Is there anyone you could put me in contact with? It's fine, especially if it's a networking event, because that's what the people are there to do, to network and make connections, and really just help the organizations that they serve grow. And then you also want to close saying something. It was nice meeting you. Thank you for taking the time to chat. I look forward to connecting, or how can we stay connected? I think that's really important, instead of it just kind of being ending there. And it might probably will end right there, but still being kind and cordial at the end of the communication. So this next section is called ruling the resume, something I'm very passionate about as well. Does anybody have any questions about anything else before I get into that portion? Let me drink my water because I'm about to start talking, y'all.
Hi, I do have a question, or
Sure.
I did put a question in the chat earlier.
Okay.
I asked, when applying and interviewing for internships/jobs, how do you deal with rejection or no callbacks? And how can you pivot your strategy in terms of marketing yourself, self-branding yourself efficiently, especially during the job or the interview and the application process, essentially?
Okay, so when applying for a job or an internship, if you apply and you don't hear back, well, when you apply, you don't hear back. You probably don't have the contact information, excuse me, for the hiring manager or the recruiter, but you might be able to find someone on LinkedIn who works for the organization. So if you look up the organization and recruiter, just be sure, say, hi, my name it's Elena.
Yes, you
Okay.
pronounced it right.
All right. It's like, hi, my name is Elena. I recently applied for a position there. I was just looking to check the status of it. Could you possibly help? Or if you've interviewed for a position and you haven't heard anything back, if you've interviewed, you should always leave an interview with the contact information for the person that interviewed you, saying, what's the best way that I can get in touch with you or follow up? Don't hesitate to reach out, but just always be kind, always be cordial through that, because if you're not, they'll remember you, they'll put it into your profile. So don't apply there again, because you'll probably leave a nasty taste in someone's mouth. Now, pivoting your strategy in terms of your self-branding efficiently or marketing yourself efficiently, you can always make it, but it just takes a little bit of time to really think about who you are, what you like, and what you want to do, and make that change. So you can slowly begin to pivot and change things. Like, so do some research, do some volunteer work in a specific industry, and begin to get some experience in the area that you're looking to get into. And then you can begin to filter that information into your resume, onto your LinkedIn page. And then you can start joining different groups on LinkedIn. There are thousands of groups on LinkedIn. So you can join, for example, me, I am in a group for recruiters. I'm in a group for Black women in HR. I'm in a group for individuals who love paragliding, like all kinds of things that you can join. Find those organizations and really kind of but learn people who may be experts in that already, and ask them how they've been able to segue into those areas as a career. But it takes some time for you to do your research and for you to understand what areas you want to get in, and then just begin planting the seeds. Share an article or two on those things. Join an organization, and it doesn't have to be an organization that is like right there in your city. A lot of groups right now are still meeting exclusively on Zoom or on Teams. Leverage those and begin to just kind of go, and you can sit and listen and learn those keywords and those trending areas, and be able to put those into your resume, so that when I, as a hiring manager, am doing a search, I look for a specific word and your resume pops up, and I can start to see some of the information that you have. But gaining internships in specific areas, gaining volunteer experience in certain areas, and then also using LinkedIn as a network for yourself, excuse me, a network for yourself, in which you can start reaching out to people in the industry and straight asking them. Ask ask away, ask questions like, hey, I see that you're an expert in this field or a thought leader in this field. I would love to ask you a few questions about how I am. I think it varies from industry to industry and position to position. So you'll want to just get creative there, but always reach out and always ask people questions. People love it when you acknowledge that they're an expert in the field and love talking about it and imparting wisdom, and no matter what they say.
And I'm sorry, these questions are popping in. It's weird.
Okay.
There was another question about LinkedIn pages from Maddie Growth. Maddie, can you explain what you mean by your question? Because I don't understand your question. Is Maddie still
Hi,
here?
yes, sorry.
There she is.
I just wanted to know, yes, I think it was a little long what I wrote. On LinkedIn posts, I'm sorry, pages, many people do not write their bullets under each position. Is it because people copy what people have written before on there onto their own
No,
LinkedIn's? Okay.
no, I think it's because people just don't feel like.
Okay. It's
And you got to
okay.
remember, not everybody is using it as a job search tool. Some people are content with where they are, content in their careers. So they're just like
Okay.
putting it out there so people know what your background is. But some people don't put bullets under what they are. Like, so I updated mine, and mine doesn't have bullets right now, but it just has my job. This is because I'm working to tweak my bullets and make sure that they say the right things, and really update you on who I am from away. And I'm toying with a different way of writing mine instead of just bullets that show my skills. I want it to be more storytelling in mine. So that's kind of why. But I think
Okay.
if you want to, you can just make it like a regurgitation of your resume, a copy paste of your resume. That's perfectly fine. But if you wanted to share a little more detail, like I was able to help this organization grow from 7 members to 107 members within 6 months by doing XYZ. Maybe you want to use an answer that you would use on an interview question that really sells and showcases you there. You've got that opportunity there on your LinkedIn.
Okay, great. Thank you for that explanation.
You're welcome. Any others? Okay, so I'm going to go into this one because this is something that I love. So I say ruling the resume. So your resume is a snapshot into who you are. It's probably the first thing that on average a recruiter is going to see from you. So it should be clear, concise, well formatted, even bullets, just a perfect document. Because if you're not going to put your best foot forward when you're submitting this resume, what are you going to do when you come into the company? So make sure that you have another set of eyes looking at it, checking for spelling errors, formatting errors, somebody that hasn't been staring at it in and out, because you begin to not see. Everything becomes a blur and it just looks perfect to you, but someone else might be able to see everything. But you want to use it to share your work history, your key accomplishments, awards, but it's always in a small space. Typically, a resume is said to be 1 page. It can be a little longer depending on your years of experience, but you want to keep it as close to a page as you can if you're a little bit more entry level in your career. But if you've grown 2 pages, never more than 3, unless you are like a professor and you have a full CV. Right, Joe?
Yes, ma'am.
Um,
Although I will say even
oh
CVs.
no. Oh my God. Hold on, I'm going to unshare real quick. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem.
I have another quick question.
Sure, Danielle, go ahead.
So I've been in my role at my level for 3 years, and I've been with my company for 1 year, and I'm looking to move up in the organization, which the next step would be like a manager position, which I currently don't really have managerial experience. So I'm wondering if you could speak to mid-career moves and how to put your best foot forward, aside from being an outstanding employee that they want to promote, how to go for those,
Are you interested in being in the same company?
yes, I want to stay at my company.
Definitely building your internal network. Have you been actively kind of meeting people throughout your organization?
Yeah, I'm involved in 2 different ERGs, like the Urban Women's Group and the Urban Jewish Community, and I have a leadership position in one of those groups.
Awesome.
And there's lots of like networking opportunities within those spaces.
So I don't know what organization you work for, but leverage your positions in those ERGs. And that's an employee resource group, which are typically affinity groups within an organization to really help build unity. They're usually kind of sponsored by like diversity, equity, and inclusion organizations, but they're a really great way for you to network. So network in within those groups, and find a mentor or someone within there who might be influential or have connections and maybe has a seat at the table, and let them know that you might be interested in working on something. I mean, of course, you've got your job that you're there to do, that you get paid to do, but see if maybe there's something that you could work on that might help them in the future. Or maybe you have an area of expertise that you could help. Volunteer and say, hey, I'm really amazing at doing PowerPoint documents, or I really love Excel and I'd be happy to teach you some tips and tricks. I mean, I've learned all of these cool things that you can do. I would love to do it. And take some time and have coffee with the person or visit them in their office or however it is you guys connect at your organization, and really start to build those relationships. And then they'll be able to see that you bring value beyond sitting in the meetings and holding a leadership position and maybe speaking first on the call, but that you're actually going to bring some actual value. And through those conversations that you're having with that people, those individuals, they'll learn a little bit more about other things that you bring to the table. Just use it as a way that you're not necessarily going to pivot, but share with people who you are, what you bring to the table, and that you're a dynamic individual and that you're ready to grow and do more. And so those types of relationships, coupled with your manager, if you've got a supportive manager, not everybody does, but coupled
Yeah,
with your
I
manager.
really do. I told her that I was elected to a leadership role in my ERG, and she was really excited for me.
Awesome.
So that was great.
That's fantastic. That's great. That's what we all want. A manager who is supportive, and let your manager know that, hey, I want to develop I want to do more. And that's where it starts, because your manager who's in a position that you might want to be in or knows how to get to that level, will help to develop and guide you, and let them know that, hey, I'd like to do a stretch assignment, or I would like to do something that's going to help me learn about specific other areas of the business. And that's how you get it. And really just kind of work towards what you want. Or if at any point you feel like you're being pushed to the side, find someone who you can lean on, and you can probably find them through your ERG experience. Find that person and you'll be able to kind of work with them to do a little bit more. Does that make sense? I'm sorry, I noticed that my slides were a little bit out of order. So I want to make sure that I'm giving you what you need. Okay.
That
All
was really great feedback. It's
Thank
called a
you.
stretch assignment. Is that what you
Yeah,
called it?
stretch assignment, something that's
Okay.
going to help you grow, and maybe not be something that you would do day to day, but something that maybe gives you a little bit more exposure or visibility, or something that's going to bring a challenge. Maybe it's something that's on your manager's plate. And you say, hey, I like a stretch assignment. Maybe I could take this on, and with your guidance, I could learn a little bit more about it. And those are the ways that you grow within your organization. And you can grow within your organization into your dream job or into the position that you're looking to get to next. Sorry, scrolling up. Okay, sorry.
We're gonna have to get really quiet because you only have 8 minutes left. Don't
I'm
laugh.
sorry, Joe.
You're fine, because you're coming now. We have to tell everyone you're coming back.
I am coming back in
Yeah.
June, guys. And you can always reach out to me on the interwebs. So can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay,
You
perfect.
just have a ton of information. I think everyone
I do.
likes it.
I do. So I talked about this. In your resume, you should use your power words that speak to your hiring manager, that show that you are an individual who is action oriented, but also what I say in the beginning, talk about your pain points that you are able to alleviate. Talk about the diversity of your experience in your resume through your bullets. So it shouldn't be bullets around just like arrives at work on time, am a strong team player. It should really be information that is going to sell yourself. So really those stories and those experiences that you've had. So here's an example resume. So and this is a sales associate. I work for IKEA. Sales is kind of like what we do. But if you look at the bullets, some of the things that are there is like connect to hundreds of customers. That's giving me quantifying. So this person able to work with hundreds of people, responsible for training 5 to 10 new cashiers. So that shows leadership there. Consistently broke monthly sales goals by 20%, upselling vintage bed sheets. Do you see how those are all like data driven and be able to sell like what you can do at what level for quantity? I think those are the things that are going to really speak to someone. We want someone who's a driver. And most organizations want someone who's a leader and can be a go-getter, whether they are, once they get into the organization, they're an individual contributor or not. We want people who are going to be self-starters, who can learn the role and quickly drive for results once they're there. So your resume organization, you want to have your name, your contact information, education, experience that you've got, as well as technical skills, activities, honors, and awards, if applicable. So I kind of wrote this format. You can have this here. I'm still a fan of writing addresses. Some people don't write their addresses, but you should always write your city and state. Or if you're applying for a position in a different location and it's not a hybrid role, write the city and state that you're anticipating going to, especially if you are able to go there. Most employers, when they're recruiting for a position, want to hire you right then and there, not necessarily when you have a chance to move. Like if you're moving in August, we don't really want you. Want to hire for a position that you can start right now. Education information, your name, your school name, the city and the state, your major. This is important. Your GPA, only if you have about a 3.6 or above. You don't want, and if you're a recent graduate, you should put it. If you're been out of the game for a little while, you don't have to put your GPA at all. I can remember the last time I had my GPA on my resume. If you're still a student, when you expect to graduate, and if you've been in more than one school, reverse chronological order. So your experiences, so list your achievements that most closely fit with the need of their position. And I want to take a moment here. If you don't leave with anything, leave with this. You want to tailor your resume for the position that you're applying for. And you can have more than one resume. And I think it's really important. You can use the power words to describe it. You can think about the pain points that you alleviate and enter those words into your resume, and go into the job description. Like I mentioned before, go into the job posting and put some of those keywords that really stand out into your resume. Because what we do is as recruiters, we have a database that we're looking for, and say I'm looking for somebody in strategic marketing, and I need somebody that's strong in strategizing and collaborating, and those words are in the job description. I'm going to go into my applicant tracking system, and I'm going to open up that position. I'm going to type in those keywords, and it's going to filter for me all of the resumes that have those keywords in those. And that's going to pull your resume. And that's what I want to look for, because you clearly have what it is that I need based off of the job description. But you really want to talk about any accomplishments you've had at work, anything, any major projects that you've done, ways that you've been able to drive data and drive results. That's what's going to be there. And then reverse chronological order. I'm sorry. Technical skills and activities, they're optional to add, but they're nice to haves. But remember, your resume is prime real estate. So you want to make sure that you're maximizing what you have with information about you that shows why you're the person for the job there. So sometimes these might take up a lot of space, but if it's relevant, like languages are really great. Specialized certifications are really great to have. Make sure that they're timely too. So, some tips: unless you have a unique objective statement, don't need to include one in there. You want to kind of get to the meat and potatoes of the resume and make sure that it's there. We talked about the GPA. don't add the obvious responsibilities there, like arrived at work on time. Like I said, make sure that you're talking about the things that you've accomplished. Adding your graduation date. This is really important too. When you're saving your resume, save it in PDF format, y'all. This is so important because a lot of times people's resumes look all beautiful with this great formatting and it's in Word. And when you upload it to most applicant tracking systems or into the job posting, we lose all of that a lot of times. More systems, as they're becoming a little bit more up to date, are, but a lot of companies use older systems and you lose that. So save it as PDF and save it with a decent title. So I like first name dot last name resume, but don't just call it resume 2022, because if I showed you my downloads, you would see probably like 100 resumes that say resume 2022, or I guess 2023 now. So make sure you do that. And then after you upload your resume, make sure that it's so annoying that you retype too. You retype it out. All of the jobs that you've had, it's annoying, but it also helps us with that search feature that I was sharing right there with you, sharing earlier. And tailor that resume and be honest, because the recruiters and the hiring managers are going to pull things from your resume and ask you about them, and you want to be able to speak to them. And I had an experience a couple months ago where someone was not honest, and I asked them a question and they made up a totally different answer, and it was a waste of everybody's time at that point. So yeah, you think people wouldn't do that. So I wanted to share that. So this is probably one of the most important. And so this is nailing the interview, and this is a lengthy portion. So I know that we're at time right now, right, Joe? We are at time right now.
Yes, we are.
But I'll be back in June, and maybe I'll just focus my time on the resume and the interview. I just wanted to make sure that I was sharing information on those things. And I'm so excited that you guys could all be here today to talk to me about, talk with me, excuse me, about these things. But
are you okay if, could you have a last slide or anything that shares your information with individuals, or would you prefer everyone to reach out to
it
you on
doesn't share, but you can reach out to me, Amanda Abney Buchanan on LinkedIn,
Yep.
or you can email me and I will put it in the chat.
Fantastic.